The new LinkedIn Hiring Pro can't undo your last hire. The lone wolf, who you thought was a good collaborator because you didn't have the right candidate insights. But once you hired them, it was all hoarding info, declining meetings, and howling at the full moon? But LinkedIn Hiring Pro can go deeper than just the resume to find you a perfect fit. By using insights from the LinkedIn network to give you a short list of best fit candidates. Hire right the first time with LinkedIn Hiring Pro. Post a free job today at linkedin.com/quality.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC. And for a limited time, college students get the best of both worlds. Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Zootopia 2 has come home to Disney+.
Let's go!
Get ready for a new case.
We're gonna crack this case and prove we're the greatest partners of all time!
New friends.
You are... Gary the Snake. And your last name? The Snake.
Dream team.
And new habitats.
Zootopia has a secret reptile population.
You can watch the record-breaking phenomenon at home.
You're clearly working it.
Zootopia 2, now available on Disney+, rated PG.
I am honoured to speak to Benny Urquidez. Benny's been in so many movies that I've watched. I cannot tell you where I've started from, but I'm just going to ask him a little question, because he worked on a film that doesn't get a lot of recognition. He worked on Force 5.
Wow. Force 5, actually, that was the first movie I did back then. It was actually down the drain. Right after that, Force 5 came in, and there was some great words in there. Joe Louis, it was just Richard Norton. So in that, when they asked me, I was saying, what exactly would you like for me to do? And they said, we want you to act. And I said, oh, I could do that. But when we actually started, it was very different than I've ever, So it was
a learning curve.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know, I might get this the wrong order, so apologise.
Yeah, no problem.
But I think the one thing that we all love is Meals on Wheels.
Meals on Wheels.
With Jackie.
That's right.
How did that come about? How did that,
Well, you know what? Jackie wanted to change the way people fight, especially in, the Orient and Hong Kong and other. He wanted to change the way people fight in that. And he said he'd been studying, watching me for a long time. And so he had me go to Hong Kong. And I was wondering, because I never met Jackie, I said, so what do you want from me? And they said, well, we're looking to do a movie, but more reality. And Jackie didn't speak English at the time. Wow. So his interpreter was interpreting what he was looking for. So I said, okay, so what did you want? He wanted to see, what can I do? And I said, what do you want me to do? So he did something. So I did something. He did round up, flip flop, flip flop. I did round up, flip flop, flip flop. He started doing spin kicks, this and that. I did a jump spin kick, drop spin, and he's looking at me like, all right. So then he wanted to know how hard I can really hit. So he had one of his stunt guys hold a bag. And I said, how hard do you want me to kick it? And the interpreter said, he wants you to kick it hard. So I kicked it so hard, the bag went up, and he had a bloody, his nose was bleeding and stuff, and Jackie looked at me and go, So I think that he knew he saw me fight and this and that. They've been watching me for a while, but he wanted to see with his own eyes.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to see what kind of impact I can do. And so he started to put pads on, and he wanted me to hit him. And I said, hard. He goes, so when the interpreter says, hey, he's got pads. I said, I hit you hard. Boom, I hit him. He goes, oh. And I said, hard enough? He goes, no. So I realized that he was looking for more a reality to change the whole. Yeah. And so from there, he would bring it. He had a team of 20, and he would get together, huddle, and this and that, and then they would put some technique together, and then he would look at me and say, now, in other words, what would I do if he did this? What would I do? And I said, okay, I will do this, and then he goes, they huddle up, they come back, they said, he's going to do this. If I did that, he'll do this. And I said, okay, then I'll do that. So once we got to an idea how we're going to choreograph, he says, he wanted me to be the other actor, you know, and me playing the hitman. And from that, when we went to Spain, it was almost like, okay, this is how we'll choreograph. I will choreograph the way I'm going to attack you. You choreograph how you're going to attack me. And so we just choreograph it back and forth.
And it is beautiful. It is beautiful. Moving on, because I don't want to keep it nice and tight. I love this story, so I want you to tell it. You told me once about training Patrick Swayze for Roadhouse. Can you tell me that story again?
You know, Patrick was such a good dancer. You know, that means he's just a natural dancer. And so he wanted me to work with him and start training him. So I went to his home and we started training. And he was working on certain things that he wanted to do in the fight. And I said, and I watched him staring at me. Kind of made me uncomfortable at first. I said, man, what are you looking at, you know? And so I didn't realize he was studying me. He wanted to see how just the way I move, how I spoke, and so forth. And he was just watching. And then I realized he wanted to mimic, you know, a lot of my movement. And so in Roadhouse, I was asking him, in the idea of doing the choreograph and the fight, he says, I want you to do it, but like if you were doing it for you, because he wanted to mimic that. And I said, okay. I said, well, I can do that. And so back and forth, but when I was teaching him how to be relaxed, I was teaching him how to dance in a fighting way. Yeah. And he was getting so angry because he said, I'm a dancer, man, what's wrong with me? And I said, there's nothing wrong with you. I said, what's happening is you cannot be like me. You have to be like you. Hey, there's a rhythm in you. All I have to do is work that rhythm. And once I got him to work the rhythm, and I couldn't figure out how to do that because he was getting very frustrated. So I went home and I said, how am I going to get him to do that? And I thought, I put some music on and I started doing some technique with music. And I said, so I went back and I brought some music and I put music and I said, Patrick, follow me. And the music, he started shaking his head and I started moving to the music. And then they said, I started moving motions and he started moving more, picked it up like that. Yeah. And all the choreography became, just because I put on music, and I made it a dance choreography type of fight. Yeah. He understood exactly what I was looking for. From that point on, done. He was all for it. He was all good.
My total introduction to you when I was saying is this film, Grosse Point Blank.
Ah, yes.
With John Cusack.
Yes.
The fight in the corridor is amazing. It is so brutal. I've never seen a fight like it. Tell me a bit about it. I've always wanted to ask you the question.
Well, you know what? Johnny actually he's been a student of mine for almost 40 years. And if he wanted to fight professionally, he could. He was that good, but he's 6'5", tall. And so when I was working with him and I would be sparring with him, working with him, he knew he can hit me for real. He knew that I can take the impact and do it, but he knew I had excellent control.
Yeah.
So he knew that he can hit me, but he knew I would control on him. So when we did certain techniques, I started to choreograph. And so they were looking like, do we need to get a stunt double? I said, you don't need a stunt double for him or me. I said, because he knows I can control it, but certain things that I need to kick him with, he'll put a pad on so I can kick and so they can see the impact. And he wanted it real. And so the pad that he started with was pretty thick. And then after that, he started taking the pad and it got thinner and thinner. Pretty soon, you couldn't see the pad. Then he didn't want no pads no more. He says, come on, Sensei, you just go. And we did. We went. And I think what was happening is I got him so excited because I was talking about how Jackie Chan wanted the reality, the real. And he goes, took all the pads off. He says, I want it real. I said, take it easy, it'll be okay. And so we actually really hit each other. We really went at it.
Wow.
So as I was choreographing, I said, I'm going to do this and you do this. And he hit me one time because he's so dang tall. He hit me on my chest. So my legs came up from under me and I went from here, boom, hit the ground. And he got up, he said, oh, I'm sorry. So I said, the camera's still going. What do you mean you're sorry? Now I got to do that again. And so it was just that kind of...
Yeah, it was a fantastic fight.
Yeah, we had a great...
Going to wind up on one thing, the sort of like a pinnacle towards the end of things was Shannon Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you worked on, Enter the Eagles.
High, or Eagles Fly High.
Well, it was your Eagles Fly High, but it's called Enter the Eagles here. And now you're dead in over here. We had it in... Let's just give... Last 10 minutes, fighting Bruce Lee's daughter. Tell us how that went and how you got into it.
Well, you know what? Basically, they wanted to bring Shannon Lee on camera and introduce her into the movie industry. So they had me train her. Once I started having trained her, they said, you know what? You would be perfect to be her opposite, you know, and I said, yeah, I can play hitman on her, yeah. But she was very comfortable because she knew that I had great control. Good. But at the time, they said we needed to be a little bit more, and they didn't have a stunt double for her. And they said, you need to hit her and throw her through the, I don't know, it was curtains that I was hitting, and I said, I don't want to hit her for real. And so Shannon says, it's okay, Sensei, you can hit me. And I said, I'm not uncomfortable. He said, no, Sensei, you can hit me. I said, okay. So I hit her, boom, and she went, oh, and I dropped her wind off, and I felt so bad. And I got her up, and I got her wind back again. And they said, okay, we're going to change cameras. We got to do it again. And I said, I don't want to bring her a stunt double. And it's too late. We need... So, and then Shannon said, it's okay, Sensei, you can hit me again. I hit her, boom, and she went, ooh, and I said, drop her, and I said, now I'm feeling really bad. And I said, I'm not going to hit you like that again. Because they wanted the reality of it, the real. And then I said, okay, so then I was hurt, and we're in a ball.
Yes.
And we're fighting, we're in a big ball, and so, and then, she's supposed to kick me, but she has these boots on, brand new, and the rubber is like an inch and a half thick, and all these lines. And I said, okay. So she said, since I got to kick you in the face, I said, don't worry, let's go. And we were fighting this and that. She kicked me, boom. I had the print of her boot on my face, and I had to put ice on it because, man, and then we had to do it again, and we turned the cameras in the air, boom, she hits me in my face. I mean, and her son, one time I just went back, I looked, I saw her brother, and I saw her father. And I'm looking at Bruce, I'm looking at Brandon, I said, man, and she hit me that hard. I said, good job. I said, let's go again. But I said, the problem is with the boot. I said, don't kick upward because you're going to take the skin off my face. Kick straight. And she said, I'm afraid to kick. I said, kick straight. And she said, okay, Sensei. Man, she kicked straight. Bang. That when she hit me, I hit. But the kick didn't hit me as hard as my head hit the bar on the globe. I hit boom, and I said, oh my God, that was a shot. So we fought after that. And the beautiful part about it, she knew, because I trained her, and she knew that I had beautiful control. I did have, I mean, I could throw a spin kick and so forth and be a quarter of an inch from your face.
Right.
Or I can hit you and just slap you.
Yeah.
Or I can hit you and take you to the hospital.
Oh, dear.
So it depends on which one you want.
Sensei, just before you finish, what's your favourite movie that you've done, that you've worked on? What's your favourite out of all of them?
You know what is very hard? You know, because I'll tell you what, Roadhouse, I had a lot of fun. But Grosse Point Blank with Johnny, I mean, because of his height, I think that I was so excited because we were actually fighting this and that, and then on the set, we slept on the set, got up, and we fought again. And I mean, it was nonstop, and I had a lot of fun with Johnny only because I'm so used to training him all the time, so we knew each other, and we had it was a party.
Yeah.
When that movie and we fought, I had a good time because I felt like I was just at a party.
Yeah.
You know, so they're all good. Patrick, I had it's really to really say which one was my favorite.
Yeah, difficult.
I've done a lot of movies, but between Patrick, and Jackie, and between John, between those three, I had so much fun in those three movies than all the other movies I've done.
Yeah. Benny Urquidez, it's been an honour and a pleasure for Womar TV.